Hey arty friends, today we are going to do a spot color tutorial and we're going to be using colored leads. And the colored leads that I'm using for this tutorial are Pilot Color Eno colored leads. You can get those off of Amazon. They are Japanese colored leads and they're available in, I believe, 8 colors. Today we're taking a look at pink, which is inside this different pencil, soft blue, and yellow, and hopefully my camera can pick them up. Now, I've done a few videos in the past where we use colored leads for different types of effects, but I've been asked to do a spot color tutorial, and this is one of the ways I do spot colors. And this is a great inexpensive way to use all sorts of different supplies that are around your house. So we're going to be using highlighters, I've even got some alcohol markers, and we're even going to be using Crayola Super Tips to make some really cute art. Now, you are going to need one additional material. You are going to need a pen to ink with. That can be like a Kuretake Fudego Kochi, that is a sign pen, or a Sailor Mitsuo Ida, but it doesn't have to be anything that fancy. It could be, any sort of technical pen like that Prismacolor, no, not Prismacolor, I'm sorry, that Sharpie purple pen we were using in some of these other affordable art supply videos. So, to begin with, we need our line art, and we're going to start with pink, and I'm going to start with the highlighter. So I start, this is just going to be a doodle. I start by sketching in what I want to draw using the pink colored lead. And I actually haven't tested yet to see if we can do this with, say, Crayola color pencils or other brands. So I will have to follow up with that. But I do know this will work with these kind of leads. And you want your sketch to be a little bit better looking than my sketch here. And I have a tutorial for drawing. I have actually a lot of tutorials on this channel for drawing really cute chibis and cartoony faces. So I highly recommend you check those videos out after you're finished with this one, or pause this one and check those videos out first if you're trying to sketch along. So we've got our really rough sketch. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to use this highlighter. This is just a cheap highlighter from Walmart. These are super easy to find. Any highlighter should work. And we're just going to fill certain areas with pink. And filling in an area like this is called a spot color. And this may also be referred to as a one color accent or an accent color. And what you choose to fill in with this color is up to you, but we're really only going to be using one color for this. So for now, we're creating a monochromatic. That means one color artwork. And that monochromatic also encapsulates shades, or tones rather, of the same color. So you can use your highlighter color if you so desire to mark in shadow. You can fill in as much or as little as you'd like, and I'll go ahead and zoom in for you guys. You can also do a lot of your coloring with your colored lead if you want. Really, how you go about doing this is up to you. Now, we need to let this dry, and that can take anywhere from 1 minute to several. All right, that's fairly dry. And the reason you want to work in the order that we're doing, so lead, color, and then ink, is this actually allows you to work quicker. Instead of needing to give it the 24-hour cure time that we've talked about in some of our inking videos, you really just need to wait until your accent color has dried. So actually, I think what works is the Fude-Go Koji. So once your accent color has dried, you can start inking on top of it. And this is a really good way if you're using, say you don't have any waterproof pens. This is a really good way to sort of work around, and we've talked about finding ways to work around our problems in some of our earlier videos. This is a good way to work around the limitations of your art supplies. So while we do have an order of operations that we like to keep in mind when we're working on art, sometimes the best way to use the materials you have or to use the materials that are available to you is to figure out how to change the rules a little bit. And I'm going to have links to everything I use in these tutorials in the description below. But the majority of these materials are very easy to find. And you'll notice that I'm twisting and turning the paper. And that's for a few reasons. One, I am breaking all my own rules, and I am inking cross-legged, hunched over on the floor so you can see the carpet in the shot. Please don't do that. It's terrible for your back. It's horrible for your knees. It's bad for your wrists, and it's terrible for your art. Your art is never going to look as good if you work like this as compared to if you were working at a table, at a desk, or even if you just had a lap board. So please do not do as I do. Now, we can opt to leave the eyes uninked, and we can leave them like that. We could opt to leave the highlight uninked, or we can ink the highlight. It's really all about your personal preference. I'm going to leave it uninked for this piece. Something else that's fun with these spot color illustrations is going in with a white gel pen and adding details like designs on top of the area you have colored. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any with me here in Luling, so I can't demonstrate that. But if you watch some of my other videos, you will see me use white gel pens frequently. apologize for that. My phone cut itself off, but this is what the end result is going to look like. And rather than go to all the trouble of drawing, inking, and filling in 2 other colors, I'm just going to demonstrate. This one actually needs a lead refill, and I don't know that I have any. Yes, I do. Some in there. Awesome. Now, you can get the 8-pack of these by clicking the link I'm going to provide on Amazon. But this is a really fun way to get some fluorescent color in your work. Now, there's some back and forth as to whether or not fluorescent, say, watercolors exist. And I know there are fluorescent markers because we've got highlighters, but most normal marker packs don't come with fluorescence. So this is a really fun way to add some really bright, vivid color to your work. And these are very inexpensive, easy to find. You get them even at gas stations. So highlighters are way numero uno. Now, next, we're going to take a look at the Crayola Super Tips, and I will draw that one in with soft blue this time. Let's do a slightly different style. So we do our sketching in with a colored lead. This time we're using Color Eno Soft Blue. And draw in a little bit more of this so we have a little bit more to color. And it is pretty much the same procedure as with the highlighter. We do our sketching first. Then we fill in with our accent color, and this time I'm going to do her hair, and I grabbed a blue that complements the lead we just used. And for her hair, I'm going to leave a few highlights. And if you guys are looking for a tutorial on how to color with the Super Tips without leaving a bunch of streaks, you can check that out here on this channel as well. And I'm mostly using the broader side of the marker to fill in. That way we can work a little faster and we're going to get fewer streaks. And I'm just using regular sketchbook paper. This is a Strathmore Good, so the yellow cover sketch. Not my favorite sketchbook, but it's a really common one. Very easy to find in most places. And the paper has absolutely no special properties whatsoever. Doesn't take ink any better than any other paper. It doesn't take marker any better than any other paper. It is really a very not spectacular paper. That's perfect for these kind of tutorials because we want stuff that everyone can get a hold of. So I'm gonna add in some blue freckles. And I'm even gonna color in her mouth. And underneath her neck. And then I need to give this a chance to dry, and this is going to take a little while because these are water-based markers and they use water to help carry the ink, the color, the dye, to your paper. They do have a little bit of glycerin in them, which actually makes them dry even slower. So you want to give them time to dry before you try to put ink, especially a water-based ink, on top of them. All right, so this has finished drying. Now we can start inking, and I'm going to use the same pen I used before. And this time, I'm only going to ink the underside of blue objects. In order to imply a shadow. And honestly, doing it this way, you can even ink. In fact, I'll demonstrate it in a moment, but you can even ink using, say, just regular fine tip Crayola markers. So I'll demonstrate that in a moment as well. And you can use your black ink to add as many details as you want. It's really up to you and what you think looks good. All right, so that was with the super tip. And like I did for the pink, I'll go ahead and demonstrate some super tips that will work. So that is a pink, and that is yellow. It's a little more subdued way to get your point across. And then you can even do this with alcohol-based markers. I think these are both Copic Sketch, but you can use any alcohol markers. You can use Prismacolors. You can even use Sharpies if you want to. And if you guys really need to see me do that, I can do that in another video. I don't think I have any of the brightly colored Sharpies here. And I have two pinks that I like to use with my pink color Eno. I have RV00 and RV02. And I actually have other videos where I show you guys how to do monochromatic alcohol marker illustrations. So I do recommend you check those out. And I'm quickly sketching in a very simple head. We're going to start with the lighter of the two colors. And like we did with the blue, we're going to start by coloring in the hair. And this is a brush tip marker, so this is going to go really fast and be fairly easy. I'm not really concerned with streaking. This paper is not great for alcohol markers. And it will run your markers dry, but we're just doing a demonstration today. I would really recommend you use at least cardstock. So I'm coloring in all the areas that would either be pink, like blush on the cheeks, or in shadow. Now with these very light alcohol markers, they will remove, they'll sort of dissolve your lead. So it's a little harder sometimes to keep track of where you put down your color. Now going in with the darker marker, I'm going to pull out some details. And for a more in-depth version of this technique, please do check out the video linked in the card here. Okay, now, cool thing about alcohol markers is they dry much quicker than water-based markers because they're alcohol-based. Alcohol evaporates very quickly. We're going to go ahead and actually, I still want to use, I don't know why I keep grabbing that. I still want to use this pen here, the Fude Gokochi. I'm just going to quickly ink mostly just inking in the areas that are either not described and defined by the pinks we used, or areas that would be in shadow. Okay, so finally I'm going to demonstrate that you can ink, and you can use any of these colors, by the way. In fact, I think somebody stole one of mine. You can use any of these colors to do your inking, but we are going to use, or at least we're going to start with black, and we're going to use our super tips, but we could also use our highlighters if we wanted to. So to save us some time, I went ahead and sketched this really cute little girl with the Color Ino Soft Blue. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use this Crayola Super Tip to apply my spot color. And it doesn't really matter what you decide to use your spot color for, so long as you do so consistently. You always opt, at least for that illustration or that series of illustrations, you always opt to use your spot color in a similar way. You can use it to enhance mood, you can use it to denote lighting, you can use it to color specific things, but you should always try to handle it the same way, and that way your piece will feel cohesive. You can change up how you handle it from piece to piece, but like let's say you're doing a comic, you probably want to handle your spot color if you're going to use spot color consistently. In fact, I have an example in the Hanadoki Kira anthology. My example is a small mini comic called Small Blessings, in which the main character of my webcomic, Kara, discovers a small egg and nurtures it until it hatches into a gecko that she keeps as a pet. And I can, if you guys are interested, I can share examples at nattosoup.blogspot.com. But I got to hear back from you guys. You guys got to let me know in the comments that you want to see how I handled spot color in that. And I have quite a few standalone illustrations over on my Instagram that are spot color as well. So I am leaving a small halo between her pigtails, or I guess her little ponytails or pom-poms, and the main body of her hair. Alright, so before we can ink with our Crayola fine point marker, we need to let this dry completely. So we need to give it at least 5 minutes to dry. This has had at least 5 minutes to dry. It's still a little cool to the touch, but hopefully we can ink over it. So it has been more than a decade since I've tried to ink with this type of Crayola. So it might not go as planned, but we'll find out together, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the eyes. This particular black color is actually kind of a thin looking black. This is somewhat reminiscent of inking with a tech pen, but most tech pens do not have the conical nib shape that this Crayola marker has. But it's actually not that bad. If this is the best you've got, you can definitely make do with it. But I do recommend you follow my order of operations, where you apply your lighter color, your fill color, the blue, in this instance first. Because if you were to try to go over this, over your black line art with the blue, it would pick up, it would reactivate all this black that we're putting down, and it would ruin your blue marker. So you really want to work from light color to dark color when you're using water-based markers like Crayola. And kind of Crayola specifically, because there isn't an easy way to clean the color out of the nibs. So I am noticing that I am getting some spidering. I'm going to go over this black to make it a little darker. I'm noticing some spidering where the black is sort of spidering out into the blue. It tells me the blue wasn't fully dry. So a dry time longer than 5 minutes would be recommended. And of course, this could also vary by paper used, and this is specifically in regards to these Crayolas. But it can be done. And you don't have to use black. I mean, we've got 10 colors here. You could ink with any color that would work for what you're doing. And if you guys would like to see a tutorial for that, let me know in the comments below, and I will record one in December. But I've demonstrated several ways to use a spot or an accent color with your colored leads, and then to ink over it for a really cute illustration style that really makes the most of a very limited palette. This is a great way to get a lot of bang for your buck, and a great way to have fun with some bright colors like these fluorescent highlighters. And you're certainly not limited to the blue, the yellow, and the pink demonstrated in today's video. Pretty much any color you have, you can find a complementary color for that and use it. And I did actually promise you guys that we would see if we could actually do that with just regular Crayola color pencils. These are nothing fancy, nothing special. I'm going to grab a really light color. I'm going to grab, let us see, this is just pink. You guys can see that on camera. So we're looking for something that won't cause a wax resist. So far, it works with the highlighter we just used. Works decently well with the super tip we just used. And let me grab my Copic markers. Works okay with that too. So you can even do this with Crayola color pencils. So very, very, very easy technique. Great way to really make the most out of limited color selection, limited material opportunity. Really great way to make cute art on a super tight budget and do so traditionally. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you'll check out some of my other very simple, very affordable tutorials here on the channel in the cheap art supplies section and the art tutorials for kids playlists. And I hope you will check out some of the things I have linked in the cards and check out my description below for more information. I also hope you guys will check out my webcomic. It's an all-ages, family-friendly watercolor comic, 7-inch Kara. You can check that out at 7inchkara.com or 7inchkara.tumblr.com. And I hope you guys have a great day. Bye!